If you grow carnivorous plants, this time of year is undoubtedly the most enjoyable and the most exciting. Specifically if you grow temperate carnivorous plants. In today's video, I want to show you a round two, if you will, of all the plants that are coming out of dormancy and what you can expect to see with your plants. All that and more coming your way in just a moment. All right, before we begin, I will say that the neighbor is doing some construction, so there might be some ambient noise, but we will work through that. Now, before we get started, every plant is going to have its own sort of pace in the way that it comes out of dormancy. You can have them right next to each other, and I'll show an example of that. And they could be vastly different in the speed in which they come out of dormancy. And also, depending on where you live, is going to determine when and how they come out of that dormancy. But without further ado, let's get into it. And the first thing we're going to look at is right here in the foreground is the Drosera filiformis. Now, if you'll remember from other videos, they have what's called a hibernacula, and that is what stores all their energy while they sleep during the winter. And just about a week ago, they started to break dormancy, and you can already see that they are growing crazy, and they even have a flower stalk that is starting to grow. So they waste absolutely no time coming out of dormancy, and they will grow very rapidly. It will only be about a couple of weeks, and they will be full size. The other ones that make a very fast approach are the bonatas. Bonatas grow very quickly out of dormancy, and they are different than filiformis. They will look completely dead. It will just be soil. But then all of a sudden, they will spring forth very rapidly and develop new growth. Now, it's one thing to note here is they, right out of the gate, will catch prey in abundance. And as you can see here, they have already started doing so. And that is going to help them sort of burst that energy forward and ensure that they are growing as fast as possible. Now, I mentioned that not all plants grow at the same pace. What you have here are all filiformis, all the same plant that I've taken divisions of, and they are all within feet of each other. And you can see here, some are just starting, some are well on their way with a flower stalk, some are sort of middle of the road, and others haven't even broken dormancy with their first leaf yet. And that is okay, but it's important to note that these plants take their time as they come out of dormancy, and not all of them grow at the same pace. So don't think that you have something wrong with your plants. It's just like people, plants are their own individuals and have their own experiences. Next up, we're going to look at Sarracenia. Now, depending on the size of your Sarracenia, the age of it will depend on their behavior. Most of the time, they will shoot up flower spikes first before new pitcher development. Here we have a beautiful flower that is just a couple of weeks, maybe a week away from opening. Still has to get quite a bit bigger. But then it also has all these brand new pitchers that are growing. And so Sarracenia are going to be putting up those flower spikes, some of them sooner than others depending on the variety and or the hybrid. And so that is what you can expect about this time of the year, depending on where you are. About week 2 out of dormancy, they're going to start picking up speed. And you can see here, before they even get started, you'll start to know where they're going to come from, because they'll develop these little rhizomes, these little spikes that are going to eventually become leaves. And just like everything else, there's not ever just an easy answer or a one-size-fits-all. Not all Sarracenia are going to grow at the same speed. This is purpurea, and it tends to be more of a later starter, but it also keeps its pitchers longer. But even they are getting in on some of the action here with some brand new pitchers. Now, it will be some time before they develop a flower stalk, but just know that your Sarracenia purpurea are going to take a little bit longer. Same thing with Psittacina. They're, for all intents and purposes, it is very much still asleep. And last but certainly not least are the, in my opinion, the coolest and most remarkable of all carnivorous plants, the Venus flytrap. Now, their response coming out of dormancy is going to be a little bit more muted than some of your other carnivorous plants. But you're going to start to notice that they're going to start producing these little sort of leaves from the center, not sort of, little leaves from the center, and they are going to start growing those at a much faster rate. And also, before they do that, and sometimes just along the same amount of time that they do that, they're going to start putting up flower spikes. And so depending on the size, like these small little ones, I will cut that flower stalk off so that it can put all of its energy in growing its plants. But then you'll also start to notice it growing out new divisions. And so here we have new plants that are growing, ones over here as well. And so those will continue to grow out. And a lot of the energy will be put into those as opposed to the others. And before long, let's see if I have one that's over here, you will start, I'm going to pin the camera over here. These are all babies. You will start to get spring traps that are coming forth. And so during dormancy, or right before dormancy, they'll start produce these lower ground hugging traps. But during this time, they'll start putting forth these big spring traps. And so they're going to grow very tall, very erect, and will be coming out in quite a large quantity here in the next coming weeks. And just for fun, here is another look at Bonata. Probably one of the quickest to come out of dormancy as far as speed goes, but also, in my opinion, certainly the most dramatic. It's going to start very unassuming with these little fern-like leaves, and then it will quickly start to fork out. And so just a few weeks ago, this was all but just an empty, dead-looking bog, but it is now full, and in the next couple weeks, this will be completely unrecognizable as it is in its current state. And I will leave off on this video with just a quick little look at some of the new arrivals here that are going to be settling in here. Dormancy is all about patience and understanding that all these plants are going to be kind of going at their own pace and on their own journey. Certainly, you want to keep an eye on them, but you don't necessarily need to be in a state of constant worry as to whether or not your plants are doing okay. Now, they are, if you start getting weeks, if not a month into it, and they're still not growing, you may want to start to look at a few things. You don't need to feed them during this time, as they've had plenty of energy stored up in their rhizomes to help them through and to give them that push. Certainly, feeding them won't hurt the situation. By this point, you should have already divided them and got them settled in so that you're not causing any more stress to them as they grow. Here's the Southwest Giant. Look at that, how beautiful that one is, unfurling. But in all, this is a wondrous time of the year, a very exciting time of the year to be a carnivorous plant owner. And so this is just reason 1,000,000 why you should have these remarkable plants in your collection. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've gotten a lot from it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. See you soon.